Alrighty, what's going on, everybody? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Deacon, and welcome to my incredible podcast. Now, before we commence any further, do not forget to smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, share this with your boys, recommend my channel to everybody that you know, follow me on Instagram, smash that bell notification button, and of course, as always, enjoy! Let's get started. Our top story today shall be Tomi Lahren supports 99% of law enforcement officers. That's right, this shall be another podcast episode of Tomi Lahren opening up her trap and speaking about something with some statistics that make absolutely no sense whatsoever. Not even the math adds up as well. And on top of that, just look at her facial expression as she's ready to discuss about this subject. Like, you could tell that she's ready to somewhat lose her shit on this discussion, which is why I'm willing to give her a giant piece of my mind about this subject. So with that said, let's hear what she has to say about our finest officers of this country. Here we go.
I'm going to do some official final thoughts on all the protests and the rioting still to come today, so stay tuned for those. I had to do just some impromptu final thoughts about our officers. And you guys know I'm the biggest advocate and supporter of law enforcement. The number of people that are piling on to law enforcement, to attack law enforcement, to disparage law enforcement because it gets them social media praise, likes, and retweets. I just hope that you guys remember we have 700,000 police officers, 99% of whom are great, decent, professional, wonderful human beings.
Okay, wait a fucking moment. We need to fucking stop this discussion at once and debate against the statistics that she just pulled right out of her asshole. You understand that? To you, Tomi Lahren, I need to ask you a series of questions. Number one, you seriously believe that 99% of this nation's police are decent, professional, and wonderful human beings? And number two, 99%. Just think about that number. 99%. Does this mean that you support to what happened to George Floyd? Are you telling us that you support events like that and what happened to Breonna Taylor? Tomi Lahren, I don't know what kind of drug you're on, but I strenuously suggest that you reconsider these statistics immediately because what you're saying is 100% debatable. Anybody on this fucking planet will call you out and say that your statistics are trash and they're wrong, okay? I'm doing it right now because I've had bad experience of my own with cops. After what happened to George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Eric Garner, I mean, do I need to go down that list any further? After what happened to these good citizens, do you believe that anybody's gonna trust the cops anymore? I don't think so. I think that almost everyone is gonna handle their problems by themselves without the help of officers. Let's continue hearing what this blonde has to say.
They are out there protecting people's lives and people's businesses. They're even protecting the protesters out there that are actively out there protesting. They're protecting those decent, peaceful protesters from the rioters and the looters and the lawless animals. They're the ones that are out there on the front lines, even though that they continue to be disparaged and rip apart. Not only by the protesters, not only by the rioters and the looters, they're being ripped apart by what I thought was very good, decent people.
Tomi, I understand that these riots and lootings made the cops' jobs a lot harder and it's against the law. I get it. Just understand that now we're living in a time where more than half of the population doesn't trust the cops. Like, these riots and lootings were occurring because of what happened to George Floyd. So don't you forget that. Do not forget that it was Derek Chauvin's fault for killing George Floyd because it was Chauvin that chose to escalate that situation into murder when Mr. Floyd didn't even commit a violent offense. He had a counterfeit $20 bill. So Chauvin could have given him a ticket or a summons and that's it. Case closed. It could have been resolved with the ticket. But no, these officers chose to use more force than usual to defuse a situation that wasn't even a big deal. Just keep that in mind as we continue in your so-called support for these 99% of officers type of video.
I would hope that even friends of mine would be smart enough to understand that and not jump on this bandwagon, but just remember that when you guys, all of you, especially in the entertainment industry, are doing your Blackout Tuesday to reflect on everything going on in this country, I just hope that you know that our officers out there, yeah, they can't take a day off to reflect on anything because they're out there protecting store owners and businesses from looters and rioters who want to burn them down, who want to hurt people, attack people, steal their livelihoods. Yeah, our officers, they can't take a day off to reflect on anything because they have to be out there risking their lives.
So, I understand that due to these recent events, it made the cops' jobs way harder nowadays. And you know what? I'll be fair. I do feel a little bad that these officers cannot take a single day off. Of course, I do not believe that these animals have the right to steal things that don't belong to them and attack people, loot stores, and so forth. In my personal opinion, I don't care if these animals get shot by the cops. Like, let the cops shoot them down. But to you, Tommy, I say this. I get all of the points that you made. Just don't forget that we have some very bad apples out there that need to be removed from the picture and prosecuted whenever they did something wrong. Just keep that in mind. Let's continue.
You can speak out against things that you're passionate about. I would never take away anybody's voice. I would never say that you shouldn't voice your concerns about things. But to just jump on a bandwagon because it makes you feel like you did something, to disparage law enforcement, I would just really hope that you'd reconsider that, because our law enforcement officers are the ones that are not only babysitting rioters and looters right now to make sure that they don't completely destroy cities. They're also the ones that you're going to call sometime when someone breaks into your car, someone breaks into your home. They're the ones that respond to domestic violence calls because someone's being attacked, beaten in their own homes. Those are the officers that show up to that.
So here's my response to that. I believe that you'd be intrigued when I say that I am definitely not one of those folks that automatically jumps into conclusions and should do things in order to feel like you accomplished something in terms of disparaging officers of the law. So I'm willing to give you a free pass on that. Let's proceed.
So there was a horrible officer in Minnesota that did a horrible and despicable thing, and justice is being served for that officer. He has been charged, and the justice system is working its way through this process. But to go out there and just to crap on officers because you feel like it makes you proud of yourself, because you feel like you've done something to promote racial equality in this country, I'd just like you to take a step back and remember that a lot of those officers out there are black and brown, they're Latino, Hispanic.
Okay, so I'm glad to hear that she doesn't support as to what happened in Minnesota. However, unfortunately, it will never change the fact that a lot of people are furious with its police forces around this country. Riots and lootings broke out in major cities as soon as the Minnesota incident became public on the news. In addition to that, I also understand that these officers have the same skin colors as us civilians, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. I believe that if we could just weed out officers like Derek Chauvin fast enough, we can prevent more incidents like what happened in Minnesota down the road from ever happening ever again. Let's proceed.
They had to be out there as essential employees during coronavirus. As our governors were releasing prisoners and inmates, our police officers had to be out there because crime doesn't stop. Lawlessness doesn't stop. Thugs and cons and felons and rapists and child molesters, they don't stop.
So, if the governor of any state decides to release any inmates from any facility, if I were in his shoes, I would only release those that committed non-violent and non-sexual assault offenses first, like marijuana or not showing up to court or some shit like that. Like, those would be the guys that I would release first, not these rapists or child molesters or any of those kinds of inmates. Those guys, they get to stay and rot in prison for all I care. Let's continue.
Just for all of you out there who I know that really are decent and you do understand how much law enforcement does for you and your community, please just do me a favor. Don't jump on the bandwagon to disparage them and cut them down just because you think that your friends are going to like it and just because you think that you've really done something on your keyboards there. Just take a second and know that there are officers out there and families of officers out there that are doing the most right now, who are putting their lives on the line every single day, especially as our nation descends into chaos.
So, I shall say this. I do not believe that all officers are bad. I'll be fair with you on that one. And I believe that these rioters and looters have to tone it down a bunch of notches, because starting riots and looting innocent people's businesses will not resolve this situation. It will just make things worse, and those people either need to be shot down or be thrown in jail for a long time. I've seen these lootings go down on the news. In my 25 years of living on this earth, I've never seen shit like that go down, and we need to find all sorts of ways to stop these events from happening again, because I believe that not everybody's voices are being heard at all. So in conclusion, I have a few main points I need to get across. Number one, please, for the love of God, Tommy, please do not say that 99% of law enforcement officers are decent, professional, and wonderful people, because that number is simply too high. If you would have said around 75% of cops are decent people, then maybe I'll agree with that statistic, but definitely not 99%. Number two, to the people that committed or participated in any of these riots and or lootings, I say this to you. You have to cut this shit out right now, because that's not going to fix what happened in Minneapolis. Looting other people's businesses? These store owners are just trying to sell groceries for a living and feed their families. They had nothing to do with what happened to George Floyd. They don't deserve to be punished for something that is not their fault. So quit that shit right the fuck now. Number three, to you, Tommy, I say this. I do not believe that all officers are bad. We just need to weed out the ones that do not deserve to be in law enforcement whatsoever because of the shit they're getting away with. We need to weed them out immediately so that we can prevent these incidents from happening in the future. So with that said, this concludes this episode of my incredible podcast. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed this, make sure to Hulk smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, share this with your boys, recommend my channel to everybody that you know, follow me on Instagram, smash that bell notification button, and every single one of you, have a wonderful and blessed day. Peace out.
When you leave, I'm begging you not to go. Call your name 2-3 times in a row. It's the way that you know what I gotta do. It's the beat in my heart, it's when I'm